Hi, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to make a delicious meringue dessert. This dessert is seen a lot in Portugal. It's not one of the classic desserts from monasteries that traditionally you see, like the pastéis de nata or the Jesuitas, but it is a recipe that's still quite popular in Portugal. The name of this recipe, you'll often see it named as Molotof pudding or Molotof Flan. The naming of this dessert is kind of ambiguous, but it's believed it's named after a Russian Crimean War around 1853, 1855, and the Portuguese named this dessert Molotov. There's still, again, a lot of ambiguity whether it was about the war or a Russian general, but today I think we should rename this dessert to FUP, You Putin. I mean, here is like one of the biggest assholes I think our world has seen since 1945. Someone who is willing to risk destabilizing the entire world because this billionaire, one of the richest men in the world, doesn't have enough. He needs to go screw over other innocent people in his neighboring country. I mean, just because the first syllable of dictator has dick in it doesn't mean you have to be one, right? They've been a country when Moscow was still like a little village. Ukraine has a tremendous history to it, and it is its own country. Obviously, the way the people are fighting back, they want to remain their own independent sovereign country, and it's just mind-boggling to think, here's someone that's reverting back to World War II tactics. Because I have the power, I'm going to go grab more. My greed is unsatiable. I'd love to see this name throughout Portugal. Restaurants change the name. FUP, You Putin. Guess that's enough of my little rant, but we'll get started. First thing we want to do is create a caramel sauce to coat the mold. Okay, I have my hot plate going. I'm going to add some sugar. We're going to make a caramel. To prevent possible crystallization of the sugar, it's always good to add a little bit of lemon juice. I got about a teaspoon of lemon juice here. Crystallization happens when you just have a concentration of one molecule, which is sucrose. But sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose, so by putting lemon juice in there, it kind of breaks up that molecule, and when you have two competing sugars, it's less likely to caramelize. Probably more than you wanted to know. So we'll let that slowly melt until it turns a golden color. On the stove, I have a half cup of water at a simmer. When the sugar gets to the caramelized state, so a nice amber color, I'm going to turn off the heat and add that cup of boiling water. And basically that's to create more of a sauce with it. If you didn't add the water into it, it would just turn really hard like a rock candy. It took about 5 minutes of being at high heat. So I'm going to turn off my flame, and you want to take it off the heat. This is extremely hot. Again, caramelized sugar is one of the most dangerous things to deal with in the kitchen. This is hot water, but go really slowly because that water is going to boil. Ow, even a little piece just hit me in the face. The water is, the sugar is around 350 and water boils at 212. So you're going to have a reaction right away. So go really slow, especially in the beginning. Okay, while our sugar mixture is cooling off, we're going to make our meringue. Again, meringues, you always want a very clean bowl, no grease at all. Fat is not good for a meringue. You do not want any egg yolk at all in your meringue. My mold holds about 10 cups, so I need about 12 eggs. As you separate the egg whites, sometimes it's better to do a few egg whites in a separate bowl, not all of them into the same bowl, because say if I cracked 8 egg whites and then accidentally on that 9th one got some egg yolk in there, you're pretty much screwed. So you want to be very careful not to get any egg yolk in there. The other thing that always helps stabilize meringues is a little bit of acidity, so you could use cream and tartar, or I'm going to put about a teaspoon of lemon juice. It's about a 1/16 of a teaspoon per egg white. I'm going to put in the egg whites, let them get to the frothy stage, probably just about a minute, then I'll slowly add in a cup of sugar. Okay, at the highest setting, it took about a minute to get to this frothy stage. Egg whites are about 90% water, 10% protein. You're actually denaturing, changing the protein structure mechanically with this wire whisk. And if you add in the sugar too soon, it actually interferes with that process. So get it to the frothy stage. And now at high speed, we'll slowly add in the sugar. Okay, the total time has been about 6 minutes at the highest speed, and I can tell it's just nice and stiff now. That peak, you see how in the bowl or when I flip it over, all those peaks just stay straight up, they don't flip over. That is the stiff peak stage that you want to get to. I have my oven set at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I also have some water simmering for a bain-marie. Again, that allows for even heating around the meringue. We'll pour in about half of the caramel. You can see it's kind of viscous there now that it's cooled off. It adds color to the meringue, but also what it does is when we unmold it, it's almost like a layer that's going to help separate the meringue from the mold, because we're going to dip this in a little bit of like warm water, and that's going to allow the sugar to melt a little bit and then invert it onto a dish. My hands, I'm going to just, it's kind of messy, but I'm going to just get it up the sides. Probably the easiest way to do this. Get it all the way up to the rim. This helps release the FUP. Okay, I have my bain-marie. Fill that up with some hot water. I have my mold. I had it in the refrigerator just to get the caramel to be a little thicker so it stays up the sides. Let's just get the meringue in there. You kind of want to press it down so there's no air pockets. Each additional egg white will give you about 3/4 of a cup of additional meringue. So if you have a bigger pot or a smaller pot, you could adjust. And each egg white in this recipe gets 1 tablespoon of sugar. Try to clean up the sides a little bit. And now it's going to go in my bain-marie and in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It will stay in that oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to turn off the oven and let it stay in there for another 15 minutes. Look at that, it's beautiful. And we'll let it cool off now for about another 10 to 15 minutes and then unmold it. I'm going to put some hot water, more hot water in the bain-marie. You could also dip like a towel in hot water and just kind of run it along the sides just to heat it up. Kind of getting that caramel that's in there to loosen up. The pan should feel slightly warm. Dunk that in. Get the sides. You can see when it came out of the oven, it was probably 1.5 inches above the rim. Now it's almost even. But there were some parts that looked a little stuck, so I went around with a sharp knife. Even though I've made this a few times, and every time I have to unmold a dessert like this, I still get a little nervous. Not bad, huh? Oh, that looks so delicious. I'm ready to dig in. And now you either could drizzle more of the hot caramel over it now or right before service, or cut pieces out and put them on a plate and put caramel on top. There's also recipes that drizzle it with chocolate. And the caramel, I put it back on the heat just for about a minute. You want it to be, you know, at least as thick as like pancake syrup, and just kind of like drizzle it over the top. All right, now you can make this dessert, once known as Molotof Flan, renamed today as You Putin FUP Flan. I hope peace for the Ukrainians and peace for all of us, and this doesn't turn into something much worse. Go out and enjoy your family. Go cook for someone you love.